What would be an example of a positive emotional state change? Is that your question? Great question. What would be the answer to that?
Innovation.
Now, wait. Let's hold it. Shh. Let's address her issue. A positive emotional state change. Yes? Humor? Good. A joke. You know, maybe a joke or a funny story that got the other people to laugh. The laughter is the state change. Good. Yes? Acknowledgement. Good. That's another thing you could do. Yes? Introducing themselves to 5 people they don't know. Okay, good. If fear is part of it. Yes? Hug. Very nice. It's a good state change. Yes?
I don't know what to call it, but earlier in your program, when you told your story about what was happening, that evoked tremendous compassion and relatedness.
Good, thank you. A story is a very, very powerful state change because it incorporates something else up there. It's mental, it's emotional, if it's told properly, because it also creates what we call a metaphor. What's it called? Metaphor. Give you an example of a metaphor. Ben and I, my 8-year-old, we were at odds the other day. He's pushing the boundary again. How many people know what I'm talking about? And so I don't like spanking, and I'm not into that. I'm not into hitting, but it kind of hangs out there as the ultimate consequence. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So what oh yeah, you know this one. Okay, so what happens is that he won't talk to. I said, you need to come here and talk to me. No, we're outside, and I said, if you don't come over here by the time I count to 10, without emotion, you know that there will be consequences. So he gets within 6 or 7 feet. I go, that's good enough. So we're starting to talk, and because he's just been in a bad way all day, you know, and it's just for the last couple of days. And we have a dog. We have about a 120-pound Rottweiler. She's gorgeous. I mean, she's the most gentle beast I've ever seen, but she's fairly intimidating looking to people who don't know that. Okay, her name's Haley, and so we sit down there, and Haley comes over, you know, and Haley's sitting with me, and he's calling the dog because he wants the dog to come over to him. Okay. Because that's his buddy and his friend, and she sits right there. Haley, come here. Haley, come here. Dog just sits there. He goes, how come the dog won't come to me? I go, time for a metaphor. Everybody understand? I said, because I trained Haley from when she was a pup. And when she wouldn't do the things that I asked her to do, I would get right down on top of her, hold her little nose, and look right in her eyes and warn her in a very low tone that if she did that again, there'd be consequences. And sometimes I had to spank her nose. And now she does everything I tell her to do. And I've never had to hit her again. Everybody understand? That's called a what? Metaphor. Make sense? I mean, look, if I get one of those every 9 months, I'm lucky. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I wish I could tell you that I'm great at doing this. That one was a gift from, you know what I'm saying? But the point is that here in class, is that the reason a story is so important, even in the case of venture capital, you tell the story about what happened with other people that you've worked with. It evokes a visual, which is somewhat physical, a mental image, and an emotional feeling, if you know how to tell a story. Now, in this case, in Trainer 1, we're not going to get into this that much. In Trainer 2, how you tell a story, there's a whole dynamic to how that takes place. Matter of fact, in some of my products, if you're interested, we'll talk about them tomorrow, and how to give presentations and set context. It's all in, or the whole formula for that's in there if you're interested. But the bottom line is that yes, it can be a very, very powerful state change. Probably the toughest to do, and to answer your question, Pat, the toughest one to go, the easiest one to change is, if you're trying to change this, it's easy to go here. Okay? But ultimately, if you're dealing with this and you can give an emotional state change on that, that is infinitely more powerful than this. Does that make sense? That's why but you can't do that unless you have the context, permission. Okay? Great question. Give her a hand for the question. Okay? Yes?
The question that you ask, you can direct emotion through a question. Like,
absolutely.
Think of a time that...
Think of a time when you were 100% successful. Think of a time when you were 100% loved. Think of a time when you had a great negotiation, a failed negotiation, heartache, or whatever. Yeah, exactly right. Because people have their own experiences, and you absolutely can do it that way. There is an art to doing that properly. Some people, the problem with that is Lloyd can tell you this, I learned in the new age world of personal development. And once people got a handle on this, that can be very heavily abused. Everybody understand what I'm talking about here? Because you can open a person up emotionally. Anybody with a half a brain and half a technique can figure out how to do that. Everybody understand? Yes? Yes. The question is, can you heal the wound that's already there without making it deeper? That's why I will maintain that one of my #1 rules in terms of code of honor when I train my own trainers, because we have people that go out there and do sales training and team sales training for us around the world, is that when I train them, is that if we're going to go, that they're not to go there until they have been personally trained into how to do this properly. And the #1 training is that you better be committed to your own personal development. Go get clearing, personal counseling, all of that stuff on a regular basis. One of the rules at the Rich Dad office and on the Rich Dad team, everybody on the team, I don't care if you're the front office person or if you're a salesperson on the street, well, at least once a month. How often? Once a month. You have to go get personal clearing. And what personal clearing has different definitions for different people, but it's basically, we have a friend that is schooled in something that's a kind of a cross between regression, psychology, Scientology, a whole bunch of other things all combined, but basically it is designed in a very non-offensive way to get you to clear up the emotional blocks that you have inside yourself. How many people think that might be helpful? Yeah. But it's got to be done responsibly, and you got to be able, because if you, like I said at the beginning, if somebody else's emotion goes up and your emotion goes up, you got 2 idiots now, and you've made a bigger problem. Got it? Got it. So some of you guys that are out there as metaphysical wizards out there and want to change the planet and want to get into people's emotions, the issue is don't screw around with something you haven't worked on yourself. Got it? Got it. You better be, that's the biggest walk the talk. You don't have to be a master. You have to be willing to be honest and work on it. But don't go someplace that you haven't gone to yourself. Yes?
I've only seen the whole high five thing in Peak Potentials and when you do it. And we got trained to do it in Millionaire Mind, which is why I think it works.
Right. You were trained to do it. That's the answer.
Have you had a cold audience so that just looks at you like you want me to high five my coworkers?
Oh,
you
sure.
just keep telling them to do it?
All the time.
Okay.
It's context. Look. Yeah. I wish I had my... Oh, here it is.